Denise, we're going to get ready to get started here. Are you ready? Okay. Let me get the date right. Okay. You guys ready? Yep. I'd like to call this November 12th, 2020 Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order. All rise if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We will start with opening announcements from our Township Manager, Denise Jambusia. Denise, can you hear me?
Sorry, mute button. Just so everyone's aware, this evening's meeting is being recorded live on CNET's YouTube channel. If you are unable to attend the Zoom or if you are unable to attend in person, you're always welcome to watch live and provide comments during the citizens' comments portion. The township is also asking township residents to provide their email addresses to us, even if they've signed up for notifications in the past. When we switched from GoDaddy to Microsoft Office, we lost our listserv. So we'd like people to start signing up again. You can go to Halfmoon Township or twp.us and hit the contact button on the homepage, and that will give us your email address. We're also looking for residents to volunteer on some committees and boards. We're getting to the time of year where reappointments will be happening and some people are leaving some boards. We're also starting to create some new boards, including our Citizen Welcoming Committee that we passed a resolution for earlier this year. If you have any interest, you can go to our website or you can send one of us an email.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda are citizens' comments. So this is the time when any citizens can comment on anything that's not on the agenda. And we have one here. And I think up to the table here, correct? So there's a microphone there. So if you just announce your name, we always like to know where you live too.
Absolutely. So my name is Lee Schmeck and I live at 45 Hemlock. So not too far away. I wanted to address the board this evening because I've been having a consistent problem with our rental property, well, with a rental property that borders our property. I looked up your article, your chapter 154, and it seems like not a whole lot can be enforced, which seems to be problematic. The pictures that Denise is sharing are pictures I took last night on the property below us. These are views from my property. And I would also like to say that 3, maybe 4 months at best ago, this property was cleaned up because they did clean up and took out a substantial amount of trash. So this is what has accumulated in 3 or 4 months of that again.
So this isn't the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this isn't the cleaned up state. This is, it got cleaned up and then it got to this again.
And this is where we are again,
Okay.
within 3 months time, yes.
Wow.
So once again, I did ask them if they would remove the vehicle that was sinking into the ground and full of trash, things of that nature. They took them over a year to do that. I've been on the property for our home for 3.5 years. My understanding had post us up moving in was that this was the driving force to the previous homeowner's leave. I do know there is another neighbor who is, actually COVID has prevented them from moving or selling, but they are looking to leave the community as a result of this property, because not only does this property have this type of trash problem, but we have loud parties, we're harassing other neighbors. A lot of neighbors in our neighborhood are afraid to approach these people. I am not one of those people. And they are afraid to speak or voice their opinion here at the township as well. So hence why I am here. However, I do believe over this summer you had heard from other neighbors who were also expressing some problematic behavior with this family. It's actually a duplex. It's a rental property. It's on Red Pine Street. And it is a 2-family. For a long time, there seemed to be multiple families beyond those 2 families living in each of those sides. It's hard to tell who actually belongs there and who doesn't, though I think some of those people have moved out since then. The tarp that you're seeing there with the camper was at one point around the camper. It had then blown onto our property with the plywood that is securing it and the other piece of debris that is in their yard now. It is a regular venture for us to have to go and pick up their trash out of our yard. We typically just throw it away with our own refuse because if we bring it back, it just comes back to us anyway. The vehicle that is parked there with the old lawnmower in it has been there for quite some time. The vehicle does move on occasion. However, in an earlier photo, you could see that there was a white pickup truck further down. That vehicle has been stationary for quite some time. Keep going, please. They have 3 lawnmowers. I'm not really sure. 4 lawnmowers. I'm not really sure which ones work, but I don't think it's any of them except for that red one next to the garage. There's that vehicle that I was speaking of. Now, like I said, all of these pictures are taken from my property. That does not, like if you go down past that property, you go to the front of the house, things like that, the view does change. And like I said, they did clean up, and this has been what is reaccumulated in 3 years, or 3 months, pardon me, in 3 months. We have been threatened that we were going to be assaulted when we asked them to tone down their vulgar language as our children and our neighbors' children were swimming in the swimming pool after days and days of partying. We have called the state police on numerous occasions after weeks and weeks of fireworks being set off near our property line, where they would go, walk up, set off the fireworks next to our property line as we were dining outside. The behavior continues to exacerbate and escalate, even though after they did clean up their property a few months back, I baked them bread and I said thank you and how much we appreciated them. We sent them down. Over Christmas, I make dog biscuits. They have like homemade dog biscuits. They have dogs. We bring those and Christmas cookies. I mean, it's not as if we haven't tried to have nice or friendly neighbor relations. However, this is what we are consistently dealing with. As of right now, I don't see any type of ramification that is going to be happening or anything that we can really hold them to. And I know just from driving around the community, we're not the only person who obviously is having this issue. And it's really sad. I mean, my husband and I, probably for about 12 years, saved to move to this area when I was boarding my horse in Halfmoon Township. And I loved the area. So my husband and I, we lived in another community that was not as beautiful as it is here. And we did save for over a decade. And we finally had enough money to move into the community with our children. We're absolutely excited. And unfortunately, this is where we've relocated to. That was definitely not something that we were expecting when we are assuming that at this point it's probably impacting property values in the area as well, which is of course never a good thing, especially in a community like this. Like I said, I know there is one neighbor in particular who's just waiting to sell, and this is the property that they are naming as their primary driving force. They said, I don't need to deal with this or live next to this. I should not have to put up with this, and they're moving into an area that quite honestly is better maintained and governed. I do know that there is another neighbor that has also expressed displeasure and to the extent that they have also considered that as well. As of recently, actually, ironically enough, as of last week, one of the former owners of the property, of my property, that had grown up in the house as a small child, got in touch with me, said, hey, drove by your house. That property down there has gone from bad, because it was bad when we were there, to worse. It is just continuing to advance, and it's advancing in the wrong direction, in my opinion. So unfortunately, we're seeing a sizable decrease in neighborly relations. And at this point, I really don't know what else is possible.
Have you addressed this with the landlord?
Who?
Do we know who the landlord is?
I have never seen the person.
Denise?
The landlord for this property is Dean Spanos, and he has not been contacted regarding this since I've been here, mostly because the violations that exist are the fireworks complaint, like Leah said, that is more of a civil matter. We don't have an ordinance, like she said, our ordinance for nuisances doesn't really have any teeth behind the enforcement action. So I can send a letter to the property owner and say that these actions need to cease. But as long as the vehicles are registered and they are setting off fireworks, I have to prove a violation, and then from that violation, they have 30 days to correct it, and then a new violation begins. So before I would even get a letter out, they could correct the violation of noise or the issues that she's having with fireworks, which is why we're looking at the property maintenance code.
Okay, that's what I was just gonna ask about, is, that's next on our list. It's been on our old business, which we need to get looking at to see how that can help protect the tenants and the residents also
Well,
nearby.
even that property management code will go so far as to help protect the property owners,
Yeah.
the landlords. I mean, there are problem tenants as well, and you know, a code on the books like that can hold both sides accountable for, you know, their behavior.
So at least we do have something coming in the future that may be able to address this a little bit better than our current ordinances can for you.
So it's my understanding that, that there is a council of governments that has, like, the property maintenance codes. Is that what you're discussing? Okay.
Center Region Council of Governments is
So,
part of.
as of now, Halfmoon Township is not a part of that, but we're a part of the center region.
Correct.
Okay.
And just a couple months ago, I think, we had Walt Schneider, who's responsible for code at the Center Region Council of Governments. He came in to talk about the property maintenance code, and it's on our list to look at that and see which pieces of it Halfmoon Township wants to participate in. So,
What type of reservations would we have about joining the management code? Quite honestly, I'm very surprised that you haven't yet.
It's
So-
something that was just brought up semi-recently, you know, with the
Okay.
local government, everything happens very
if I can
slowly.
go back to some
so.
history, the property maintenance code is quite extensive
Yes.
for areas like State College that has a lot of rental units and a lot of requirements and a lot of regulation. And I think at the time, Half Moon Township didn't have very many rental properties, and we didn't really want to participate in something so heavy at the time. However, since we can pick and choose pieces of the maintenance code to apply.
Okay.
So we don't have to take part in all of it, because if we did, it was a little much for the rental that we have in the Half Moon Township. So that was kind of the reason, from a historical standpoint.
Okay.
Now we have more rentals.
And more flexibility in what we
Yes,
can
yes.
choose to participate in.
What I was gonna add is that Denise and I actually have an appointment to meet with Walt again. Not at a meeting, just, you know, the three of us. And we're gonna discuss what we need to do to go forward and hopefully make this happen. And then hopefully we can bring it to a vote.
Okay. All right. One of our main concerns, of course, is obviously the maintenance issue.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, sure, neighborly relations go sour. That's going to be life. I mean, that happens. Unfortunately, that was not our doing. However, it is what it is. But when it does come to property maintenance, this is obviously a consistent problem.
What are you more concerned with, the junk or the jerks?
I'm more concerned with both.
You can't have both. I mean, just because it's a rental property, if they own the property, we could do nothing. Even with rental housing. And just because you rent doesn't mean you're clean or dirty, or you own makes you clean or dirty.
So are
Sorry,
you
Jenny.
saying that the property, the junk there, is the rental properties or the
Well, it all, you know, one
owner's
man's
property?
junk's another man's collections, you know.
Absolutely.
You
And he
know,
loves to
there-
collect.
There's none of us out here who are without sin, as they say. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff sitting around the yard. I just didn't know if the problem was because they have the stuff sitting around the yard or because they're setting off fireworks and being
The
difficult.
escalation factor of the nuisance issue is a concern. I will say that. However, when it comes to the property management and maintenance, that is a larger concern. One, because it is consistent, and two, because things tend to be getting bigger. And one of the earlier pictures that you would have seen, there are two sheds there. Both of those are stuffed full. That one shed, the newer looking one, was placed there this summer, and it is now, there it is, yes, the tan colored one is now much bigger. Now that blue one at one point was smoking quite profusely, and then they took out whatever they were had in there, and the chimney is now disbanded. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do at one point, but it did look like it was going to catch on fire. However, one of the other problems that we are seeing, and you don't see it in those pictures because the vehicle has been removed, one of the vehicles has been removed, but we have continuous causes for hazardous concern as well. And that stuff is not safe. That's not safe for your township, our soil samples, anybody around it, and what it brings.
Thank you for coming again to continue this issue. We will do what we can. We can take a look at our nuisance ordinance as well to see if there's any more teeth that we can put into it. But I really do think looking at our property maintenance code, if we participate in that, might be able to help out the
So that would be
situation.
fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
your
you
time.
coming down. Thank you.
Lee, before you
Yes.
step away, I'll just add that this is the kind of thing that, when we passed that resolution about inclusiveness in the community, and,
I couldn't connect to Wi-Fi. Please use the Meeting Owl app to connect me.
Uh-oh.
I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh, hold on, I think he'll get it.
Okay. What did I get for crossing my legs?
Too many wires.
My apologies.
Denise, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So sorry, I disconnected you.
Now, what I was gonna say, hopefully I can get it out now because it broke my train of thought. But when we passed that resolution about inclusiveness in the community, this is kind of one of the things that we were trying to address. These folks obviously are not on board with being welcoming to the community, and it is impacting the lives and the comfort level of those around them.
And it's not just me, it is literally an entire neighborhood. Of
Exactly.
people. Actually, it's two neighborhoods at this
Exactly.
point, because I
And-
have gotten messages from other people.
I've been by the property, and I know they have a certain symbolism hanging from their front porch.
Oh, that has been taken down recently.
Oh, has it?
It
Okay,
has,
great.
yes.
And I will then
Yes.
hold my remarks because
However, I
that's
will
great.
say-
That's fantastic.
I will say that there are neighbors who will not walk by that property because of comments and things that come from there.
Yes.
But quite honestly, they just don't feel safe walking past
Yes.
there. That's not me, but there are other people who
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
We
thanks.
We will keep this on our list and see if some of the items coming up in the future here will address some of this for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee. I'll be in touch.
Are there any other, oh, did you want to say something related?
If I may.
If you could come up here, that'd be great,
No, I'm
Lieutenant.
not gonna sit, I don't fit those chairs too well. If I may just address the threatening part of that. If there is ever anything like that, please don't hesitate to call us. And depending upon how recent that's been, we still might be able to act on that. The last thing we wanna do is have people going out, speak for yourself, obviously, stand up for yourself, but be careful, because people don't always react the way you might anticipate them to.
We have learned.
Yeah, well, I just don't want anyone getting hurt. That's the ultimate goal here with this. But I'm Lieutenant Daniel, I'm the station commander out at Rockview. You have to pardon me, all these months and I still can't get used to this thing. I wanted to stop down here just to touch base with you folks relative to, the happenings in Halfmoon Township. Now, as we all know, 2020 has been a very unique year. So to compare apples to apples is a little difficult. So in these kind of circumstances, I kind of look at seasonal things. So I look back 3 months, to the instance we had in the township here. And we had about 40 calls that we dealt with. And that's some of those are self-generated, that our officers go out and they deal with things. That compares to, I believe it was 48 for the previous year. So, but looking at the nature of the calls and whatnot, it's pretty much on par. I'm not seeing any unique trends. We had some thefts, one of which from the township with the theft of services issue, which the trooper had got some resolution for. We had had a domestic, some assaults. Nothing that really has me concerned, which is very good. However, these meetings are a wealth of information for me as well to go back with the guys. When I go to these meetings, I like to talk to you folks as well as citizens here to kind of get a little bit of insight as to what's going on down in your township. Unfortunately, we can't be here 24/7, and this is where comments from you relative to issues that you have received or from citizens here as to, hey, we're seeing some problems out here at, the playground or down at this corner or whatnot, I can take back to the guys. That way, when they're out on patrol and they have some additional time where they're not tied up on incidents or whatnot, they can be proactive with that. I like to get ahead of it before it starts to snowball into something much bigger. So if there is something like that, I think Denise, if you're there, we had talked briefly, I understand there's some speeding issues in the
That's our
township.
systemic.
That's pretty much everywhere, but
Yeah,
I'd like to
sure.
still hear where those might be so I can take them back to the guys.
Yeah.
So if there's any specific locations and times, not only time of day, but day of week, that is something that helps me target that a lot better and use our resources, to address these issues.
Do you want to discuss that now, or
Well-
would you like this in, like, written and then sent to you, or?
Whatever's most efficient for you. It
Well,
doesn't
I
make
can
much
tell you
matter.
right now, right through the village here, PA 550 through
Right.
Stormstown Village is, the hot spot of, it's 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and everybody does at least 50. Now, when I say everyone, that's not everyone. The majority of people do hang out around the speed limit, and they do the responsible thing, but it only takes that one person going 65 miles an hour.
Exactly.
And I do see that from time to time. I've seen some awful driving through the village in my, how long have I been here? 12 years. It's not every day, but
So we
the
have that.
examples are like
We have Smith Road.
startling. Yes,
Well, let
Smith
me
Roads.
stick with this one here first.
Okay.
Is there a specific time of the day or day of week that you're seeing an increased occurrence of this?
Nighttime, people tend to blast through more often.
Evening hours versus morning hours?
Yeah.
And one thing that we can do, and Denise, I don't know how the status is of that speed machine. I don't know what you call it. Oh, go ahead.
It's old and has some troubles. I'm still working to try to get it up and going, but I do have a list of resident complaints as to where there were roads that there were speeding issues that we received. If Lieutenant Daniel can provide his email address, I can get him all those and compile it into a nice little email for him.
I'll
That
get
to you, yeah.
Briefly here, I'll write it down for you real quick.
Excellent.
And get that to you. One thing I've been to these, I've been doing this over 29 years with this, I've worked for the state for quite a while. One thing I've seen, I don't want to get high expectations in certain townships because the way we can enforce speed, there's restrictions.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have a speed that goes from 45 and it goes right down to 35. We can't sit right on the other side of that 35 mile per hour.
No, obviously.
There's a state, regulations 500 feet beyond that is where we gotta be. And state police protocol goes a little different. I'm not permitted to release that, but as via state law, 500 feet beyond a reduction in speed is where we can look to start enforcing that. In a lot of areas, unfortunately, that's when you're seeing those problems. So just please keep that in mind, but.
Yeah, at least we were speaking to the 550 concern, on either side of the village, I guess it was 8 or 9 years ago, they did actually push the 35-mile-an-hour speed limits out quite a bit. I noticed, it was shortly after I moved in, but it was striking to the fact that like, oh, that came up quick, what happened there? So I think they put in that buffer zone. Now, am I asking troopers to sit at Brothers Pizza all day long waiting for speeders? No, absolutely not. But what I think I would like to see is, as you said, when they do have a moment, or more than a moment, because you have to drive into this town from the other side of, when you get off the highway or however you get here. But to slow drive through, make a presence felt, hey, we are here.
And that's
I've been
exactly-
told in the past that, oh, we're here, you just don't see us. And I see that as, okay, that might be great to catch speeders, but it's not great as a deterrent.
Right.
The idea is you want to be visible so that the
Absolutely.
drivers who would be speeding see those officers and go, oh, maybe I better pump the brakes here a little bit. That's what I'm after. I don't care about people getting caught speeding. I want to stop the speeding. Or
And
mitigate it.
that's ultimately our concern.
Yes.
I mean, believe it or not, and you might not ever hear this from a statey again, I'm not about going out writing tickets. I'm
Yeah.
about the public being safe.
Exactly.
So I could care less if we never write a ticket out here. As long as we have, the public complying with the speed and no one gets hurt.
Yes.
That's the ultimate goal here. So I'm on board with that 100%.
Great.
Related to that, are there any statistics or any reports about accidents on 550 in our township?
I don't have anything like that with me.
Okay, it doesn't be with you.
But that's something, no, I don't have anything I
That's
can
fine.
provide you details on. I'm
Okay.
sorry. So,
Because I was just curious about that too, because even though I know that there are speeders, if we have 0 accidents, that's a good thing. I just want to
Yeah.
kind of know that,
Right.
if that's possible. I don't know if that's possible to get or not. Or is that a PennDOT thing?
well, PennDOT has access to the crashes. When we input the crashes, they will have access to it. We also have access
Okay.
to it, of course. To compile, that's gonna take some work,
Yeah.
you know, but,
Don't worry about it.
Well,
Lieutenant-
will, and
Look-
this is slightly anecdotal, but I believe, what was it, 20 years ago? A child was run down in the middle of Stormstown Village in one of the crosswalks. So,
There wasn't any crosswalk at the time.
okay,
Right.
but even so, the fact that something like that did happen here once, we need to make sure it never happens
So 550 is one
again.
of our issues, for sure.
Yeah,
We park up at the church
Yeah.
in the middle of town there.
That's a
and
good one.
Probably 7, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
I used to live right there.
7 to 8, you said.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things, I'll tell you, I got a little bit of a gripe with the new paint scheme on your patrol cars is like it's camo. And so people, which is good maybe if you're trying to hide someplace or run radar, but as far as the public goes, the old cars, big state police emblem, I mean, you know, you probably feel like a target out there, but on the other hand, people see that when they're driving down the road and they say, hey, there's a trooper over there, you know, and the public feels better about it because they know that you guys are out there. Whereas if you back the new paint scheme into the bushes someplace, nobody's even gonna notice that thing, and they're gonna go right on through. And like I said, it's good if you're running radar, but it's not necessarily good as far as public viewing goes, just my opinion.
Well,
although the paint has reflective properties to
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't
so,
show up real
if
well.
you're not trying,
And I know
actively
you got
trying to
nothing to do with
hide,
the
you
paint
do,
scheme, but-
can be seen.
the bottom line, that's many pay grades above me how that comes, but I understand your point. And like I said before, our objective is to get compliance. And sometimes you can do it with that, sometimes just the fear of not knowing, yeah, hey, there might be someone there watching.
And
So,
probably if some people see the police cars there, you know, I don't think it'll take very long, people say, hey, maybe I shouldn't speed.
oh,
'cause,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. So,
issue number 1, which is recurring, is speeding. That's always a concern of ours.
time you will ever come see us, you'll
and that's pretty much across the
No, we
board.
don't allow any other crime in the township.
That's right.
I'm not going there.
But there is occasionally, and I'm sure you know this too, it seems like in the summertime, we have lots of little petty thefts from
Yes.
homes. And I think I saw on our neighbor's page on Facebook, I've seen that again this summer.
We had some money stolen from a residence, and Trooper is getting resolution on that too. And so, I mean, it's happening. It's sometimes we're able to make very good headway on that, and other times, unfortunately, we're not. But yeah, I have seen, but nothing that concerns me relative to a trend there.
Is there anything else that you all are aware of concern?
Okay. Well, please stress to the public, you know, we're a 24/7 operation. You know, sometimes people are a little hesitant in calling, oh, the state police, they're so busy. My issues, you know, very small on the scale of things. Yes, we're busy. However, you know, I've seen time and time again, people not calling. I'll get to a meeting that maybe it started out that, hey, there's kids down at the park, they're horsing around, they're doing whatever. Never say anything about it, and our guys not learn anything of it. Then next thing you know, a year later, I'm at that meeting, now you got kids fighting, they're dealing drugs, they're doing whatever else there. So I like to get ahead of things, you know, as best as we can. I can't promise you we're gonna fix the world, you know, but when we hear things, it helps us do what we can do to make an improvement in an area. I'm not gonna promise you we're gonna fix it, but we're gonna try to, and we're likely gonna improve it.
And if there's any
So-
themes that you see of the 40 calls that you've received that we may be able to address somehow through ordinance or anything, you know, if there's anything like that, please let us know as well.
I gotta be careful what I
Yeah.
do there with that.
Yes.
But yeah, if I see a concern, and as partners, you know,
Yes.
most certainly.
Okay.
So, This is my
Oh,
email.
email? Okay, I'll make sure. I'll send that to Denise. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
One
oh,
other
that's easy.
request I would have, when you have a trooper coming through here, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, if they would be good enough to come back here and just loop through the park, make sure there's no shenanigans going on, that would be great.
Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, and it doesn't matter if not, are there some issues back here?
Well, there aren't currently, but I used to be the manager here, and I used to live right over here.
Okay,
And so I would hear stuff late at night. Now, I'm not the police, but I'd get back and run people out of the park because they were back here having a good time. And probably it's more likely to happen in the summertime than right now anyways. But,
okay. Well, this is still good to know. Something I can take back to the guys.
and then it takes a minute, and
Oh, absolutely.
if you're bored anyways, you might find some excitement. So,
We've got that tendency to find all kinds of
yeah,
excitement.
I'm sure you do.
All right, well, I appreciate the time, folks, and I'm wearing a couple hats tonight, so I'm gonna excuse myself. There's
Absolutely.
nothing
Thank you
else.
for joining us.
Thank you very
for
much.
joining us.
Have a good
Stay
night.
safe.
Watch out for deer.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that was citizens' comments, and that was RPA State Police visit. So now we need to look at our agenda for the rest of the evening and approve the agenda. So we already made a change to move the state police report up. And what I would like to also propose is under 6, new business, letter C, the Center Region Council of Governments 2021 budget. I'd like to move that up as well so that Eric and Joe, who are online with us, can leave without having to sit through all the rest of our business.
I move that we approve the agenda with the amendments you just stated.
Okay? Is there, thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty, great. So what we will do next is on new business C, which is the Center Region Council of Governments. It's the 2021 budget. So hopefully you all saw the summary budget information, and Eric Nornberg, the Executive Director of COG, and Joe Vigiloni is here to answer any questions that we have and take any of our comments. So I will start because I had one, and I'm just staring at this pod in the
Yeah.
screen here. Hi, Eric. Hi, Joe. Are you guys there?
Bueller.
I'm here. Mute issues.
Thank you. User error, Joe. The comment that I had, and I just wanted to clarify one thing. I love the summary budget and having the specific budget impacts, which there were 3 major impacts. The Millbrook Marsh, I just want to make sure I know that the match for the grant has to happen or we won't get the grant. Is that correct? Hello?
Hello. The grant was obtained via a pledge that was made, and now what we've begun to do is ask on that pledge in terms of the grant that it start being collected. And what it's going to be is, well, it's $50,000 for the capital portion of the for that pledge. It's going to be billed in 2 installments in the 3rd and 4th quarter of 2020, not 4 equal installments, because of the timing. We think over the period, the project for the CIP is expected to be completed in mid 2022. Sorry, no, 2023. I was right. So we're trying to do 8 equal installments, and we delayed the first one from January 1 to the 1st quarter to the 3rd quarter, just to match that timing up better.
My only comment, and I think I might have mentioned this at the executive committee meeting or a different committee meeting, I can't remember which meeting it was now, they all blend together when they're all Zoom meetings, is the other budget impacts, which was around the COG cost of living increase and the merit increases. So I know that in Halfmoon Township, our staff actually volunteered not to take any increases, and I know many companies and businesses, including Penn State, which is a huge employer in the region, there were no increases at all. So I feel a little uncomfortable having the COG employees taking an increase, which is taking some of that budget money when other residents do not have the same benefit.
Joe, it's Bob Strauss. I would also like to echo the sentiment about the compensation increases. Seems that most, if not all municipalities in the COG have kind of frozen their wages in place. So kind of would only seem appropriate for the COG to do the same. And I will add that it kills me to say that because I am an advocate for the worker, but these are strange times.
That was my only comment. Did anyone else have any comments about the summary budget? Patty, you were intimately involved in it.
No, I agree with that. I don't think we talked in detail on that. I mean, it came up, but we didn't go into, is it technically possible because of the way things are? But yeah, and then just to have an automatic merit increase. I mean, I thought merit increases were if you deserved them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of have an issue with that too, based on the reaction, what other people have been doing, including Penn State and us.
I have a big problem with the pay increase for the COG. I am just, who knows what the economy is going to be like next year? And, you know, our own staff has agreed not to have a raise, or I don't know, maybe they were told they weren't going to get one, but I commend them for sticking with us and putting up with it, and hopefully we can correct that. But, you know, we're suffering a lot out here, and probably unjustly so. And, you know, there's a lot of money gets spent in here at the COG, and it doesn't do anything for our roads or our parks or much of anything else that's in the Halfmoon Township. So I don't know how the other municipalities feel, but if, you know, and I assume what Danelle's saying is true, that a lot of other municipalities in Penn State aren't doing anything. I don't really feel that it's fair. I mean, obviously, if you're a COG employee, you're probably not going to feel it's fair if you don't get a raise. But, you know, I think people are just lucky to have a job in there this year, especially. So that's how I feel about it.
And other than that, I didn't have any other comments. I think as everyone is trying to do, slicing the budget as much as they can, or being as fiscally responsible as possible. So kudos again for a great budget year. But those are our general comments.
I'd like to add one other thing, that if we do end up, you know, I'm sure the budget's going to get approved, but just because the amount of money is budgeted doesn't mean that the administrators of the COG have to spend it. And they would be wise not to spend money they might need next year for some more important stuff to save people's jobs and that kind of stuff.
So other than that, I don't think we don't have any questions or anything necessarily. That was just our feeling. So you can take that back for the general forum meeting as well.
If I could just chime in for a second.
Sure.
I apologize. I lost audio for a moment there, but I did want to respond briefly and assure the board that we are very cognizant of the financial concerns, as well as the concerns about employee compensation. When the pandemic began in the spring, we did a lot of belt tightening. We postponed a lot of projects, delayed hiring, those sorts of things. And many staff in agencies of the COG have been on furloughs. Some employees are still on furlough, but many were on rolling furloughs to save money. And a few were furloughed due to lack of work. So we've been working at being very fiscally conservative and frugal throughout the pandemic so far. So I can assure you that as we get into 2021, that will continue. If things get worse, we will continue to look for opportunities for savings or delay hiring or delay other projects. So we take your comments and feedback to heart, and we'll follow those words of wisdom as we go into the new year. Thank you.
All right, I think that's it for that one. So Eric and Joe, thanks for joining this evening. You are free to go if you need to.
Thank you very much for accommodating our schedule.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Next up on the agenda is the subdivision development plans. And what we have for the Alan and Heather Wilson subdivision plan is a 90-day time extension request. So that's what we have this evening. Denise, do you want to introduce anything else about that?
Sure, just briefly, We received notification on November 2nd that the applicant is willing to provide the board with a 90-day time extension request. The plan expires on December 14th if no action is taken. And if no action is taken, it is a deemed approval as presented. So this will give us some time to come back with a solution regarding the driveway for the Wells lot. With this 90-day time extension request, the plan would then expire March 14th, 2021.
And I don't have that pulled up. Is there a written?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I keep forgetting to change. Let me go to that 1 second.
Oh, is it on a different screen?
Yes.
That's okay. Oh, lovely. Okay. So we don't have a motion already written up, correct?
No, all you need
That's
to do
fine.
is approve the time extension request.
I move that we approve the time extension request for the final re-subdivision plan of the Alan and Heather Wilson property.
I'll second.
Thank you, Patty. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Opposed?
I'm gonna I have to
Abstain? Okay, thank you. I was like, what are you, okay. So that was 3. Did you, yay?
I just wouldn't go.
Okay. So that motion passes. So the 90-day time extension is passed. Next up is a resolution. Are we doing this evening? Sorry, Denise?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2020-XX to be determined. House storage expansion sewage planning module.
I believe this will be resolution 24. And this is for the House Building Lot 2A. You had seen the plan for this land development, the expansion of House's storage facility. And there was a Lot 2A, which was approved pending this wasn't approved. This is the residential building portion of that lot. And we're looking to get a approval of the sewage planning module. This is done by resolution for 4A and 4B. So this is all ready to go. We just need to fill out a completeness checklist if approved.
Would you page down a little bit to the sewage page, the soils page, please?
You tell me when.
Keep going. Keep going. It's all that garbage at the end.
Yes. We're getting there.
You're on 6 of 24.
Yes, I know.
You're probably running blind out there.
Oh, here we go.
Is that what you wanted?
Yep, that's what I wanted to see. Right, keep going down to the next one. Keep going, keep going. There's just one. Is there only one test pit? There's 2? Okay, well Denise must have flipped past it too quick. I take
Yeah,
it they both passed?
Yes.
And can we take a look at the plan real quick?
Ooh, yes, let me find that.
Sure. And if I'm not mistaken, while you're doing that, does the planning commission review these as well?
Yes, but I don't believe the planning commission reviewed this one specifically. We did have it on with the original plan, but I don't believe they actually reviewed it itself.
There is a block for planning to sign off on the component too, I believe.
That's what I thought, because when I was on the planning commission, I remember reviewing sewage planning modules, I thought.
They sent it's Corey wrote.
Oh, Corey, okay,
They
that's
do
fine.
that, yeah.
Let's see here.
Put my glasses on so I can see what I'm We have a paper copy, Denise.
I just want to take a quick look.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I think I found it.
The old storage.
Are you able to see that on the screen?
Yeah, that's what we have
Okay.
here.
Yep, we have a bigger one in front of us.
Yeah, we only have the non-building lot that is gonna be a building lot, I guess. And the proposal is to make this a residential lot,
Yeah.
even though it's zoned commercial, light industrial. I'm okay with it, I just wanted to make sure we had some, I knew there's some wetlands out there, so.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? Were there any concerns of anyone else that took a look at it or Corey saw that he wanted to bring up?
No,
Okay.
nothing that I'm aware of unless Amy received anything from anybody that I wasn't aware of.
No.
Okay.
Then we're good. I just need to do the completeness checklist for that, Amy. We
It's
can,
done, you just need to sign it.
yeah. I didn't know if you want to sign it in my absence.
I can, yep.
Okay,
I
so,
would move that we approve the resolution amending our 537 plan for the Hatch subdivision, the addition of a buildable lot.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All good, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution 2020-24 is passed. Next up is the approval of our minutes. So we have minutes from our budget meetings from October 15th, 19th, and 22nd, and a regular Board of Supervisor meeting on the 22nd. Oh, hello, people.
One shot, unless somebody has a problem with something. I would move that we approve the minutes of October 15th, October 19th, October 22nd, of the budget meeting, and October 22nd of the regular meeting as written.
Second? Second. Thank you, Patty. Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes pass. Next up is our consent agenda, which includes all of the checks that we have here to sign tonight. It's our bills list for the period October 18th through November 6th. As you all took a look at the report and all the checks and bills that are going out, if you have any concerns about any particular item, now is the time to pull them out of the consent agenda. If not, we can make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty. Old business. I don't think we have any updates yet, right, Denise, on the property maintenance code or the Comcast agreement?
Just that Walt and Bob and I have a meeting next week to start picking out the parts of property maintenance code that would be beneficial for Halfmoon Township.
Quick note, I will admit that I have not looked at it, and I would like to look at it. So, would you like any of our feedback before that meeting?
Oh, absolutely. That'd be fantastic.
Okay.
You can go on to the COGS website and it's a very large document. We can also, I can send you the link if need be.
I thought you sent it to us already.
That was been a little while.
Yeah, you sent it to
If you
us.
send it out again to everyone, that would be awesome.
All right.
Hey Denise, this is Dave
Yes.
Piper. Hey, is there any way you could adopt that and not have it apply to the agricultural zone?
You know, Dave, that's actually a question that Bob and I were discussing today.
Because that's going to be a
And
problem.
I don't know how that's going to get applied. We can definitely look at that because I know there's going to be some issues with agricultural lands that we'll need to address. That again, State College Borough has a different need for this than we do. So being
Well, I
able to
don't think
pick and
there's any
choose
really
something-
any working farms anywhere hardly in the center region except for here.
Ferguson.
Well, Ferguson's got university working farms and they've got a few working farms, but mostly.
But
So,
we'll be looking at that.
yeah.
And I
Okay.
encourage you to look at the code. It's very lengthy to go through. And there's a lot of notations as to which townships have adopted which parts of it.
Yep.
So remember that we can adopt any portion of it that we'd like. when you read it.
And
Okay.
don't forget to drink a Mountain Dew when you're looking at it.
Or some strong coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a date set when you plan on meeting, just so I can put on my calendar to look at that code?
23rd at 1 o'clock, Denise, does that sound right?
Oh, okay, so I got a week, okay.
Yes, do you want, Danelle, I can send you the invitation for that. It'll be a Zoom meeting.
Maybe. No, that's okay, you don't have to, as long as I know that I have about a week, I trust you guys
Well,
to
I would
look through
even say
but-
that any of the rest of you are welcome to join us as long as there's, I guess we could only have one other supervisor, because otherwise it's a quorum, so.
You're not voting to do anything.
I know,
Yeah,
but that's the way the laws are
that's
written,
the way the
so we have
law's
to play by
written,
their
Dave.
rules.
Unfortunately.
Does seem silly, but yeah.
Okay, great, so that's the old business, and we're still waiting for Comcast to return the agreement, correct? With the corrected,
Have the agreement, I have a Zoom meeting with them on Tuesday to go over some items that I would like to have changed before we sign any agreements.
so we're down to new business, which we already took care of, letter A, which was the state police review.
Defined contribution.
Now we are on Resolution 2020, which will probably be 2020-25, approval of Halfmoon Township Defined Contribution Plan 401A with the PSATS Investment Trust. So I think, was it just our last meeting, we went over some of the details of what we would want to put in that 401A, and now this is the actual document, correct?
Yes, so the last meeting that we had, the board decided, we went through that document together where there was a determination of the vesting schedule and what the township chose to match for each employee. After we completed that and the vote was to move forward with that plan, we forwarded the documents onto PSATS Investment Trust and to Summit Financial. Summit Financial then creates these documents for our adoption and creates also this resolution. So we have an adopting resolution and an adoption agreement. We'll need to approve both. The agreement, I hope you can see it on my screen right now. All right, adoption agreement, here we go. Okay, so the agreement is essentially the same document that you filled out when we did the meeting with PSATS Investment Trust last board meeting, and it marks and explains all the parts that we agreed to. It explains, right here, for example, here is, you have to be 18 years old in order to be eligible for the plan. And that the match starts immediately when you reach the minimum age and service requirements. Basically, everything that we had reviewed is just pulled up into these documents. Once we approve the agreement, then we approve the resolution to adopt the agreement and the plan for the township.
First thing we have to do is a motion to adopt the agreement.
Yes. And I can go to the top so you can kind of.
Summit Financial. So let me see if I can say it, and we'll see. So I move that we adopt the submitter plan adoption agreement from Summit Financial in order to begin a defined contribution plan for Halfmoon Township. How's that? Is that enough?
401A, yes.
401A.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. Is there any discussion about the agreement?
I'd like to talk about it a little bit. Has our solicitor had a chance to take a look at this at all?
He has, and I received notification that he has no objections to it, and he has no issues with it as submitted, and that we should go through the process of, if approving it via resolution.
If we decide that we don't want to deal with, say, Summit Financial Corporation anymore, what's the opportunity that we have to opt out of it or change out of it to get a different company if there's a problem?
We would have to go through the process of a resolution and changing companies, whatever that might be. Right now, the trustee will be PSATS Investment Trust. So we'll just go through them and whatever company they have. If we're not using Summit Financial, we might need to adopt a different trustee.
Is that trustee chosen by PSATs? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, so PSATs is basically, this is governed by PSATs for us. They handle all of the pieces of this, the adoption of it. Once we adopt it, they handle all of the administrative portions.
Okay.
Which is a nice feature.
Yes. Any other?
I
Questions?
just
Yeah.
want to make sure we're careful with this because I don't want to get in another one of these stupid contracts and then we'll be sitting here 5 years from now going, we can't get out of it and we're stuck with something we don't like.
And is there anything in this particular agreement that talks about a back out clause, or if we want to end the program, or we choose not to participate in it any longer? Is that in this type of agreement?
I'm sure there's language in here regarding changing it. I know when I had talked to Brian Jordan, anytime we want to change anything with this, we just need to go through PSATs.
Okay.
This is not the same as a defined benefit plan where we're stuck with this.
Right.
What this is the contributions that we're matching go into the 401A. I'm sorry, go into the 457 that we currently have, and then the employee has all their money in the 401A, and that's how it's basically invested in any type of mutual funds based off of their choosing. Now, we do use for this Vanguard.
Right. The funds,
And-
yes.
Yes, I know we had talked about that can change too, based on what the board decides. So there are ways to end this plan, but we'd still be under a financial obligation if somebody has been vested into it.
Correct. Okay.
And your vest schedule was
You're
three.
Denise, you just talked about Vanguard. Are they the only funds in the operation, or are there other funds that are available besides Vanguard funds? I know Vanguards are low cost, but
Yeah, right now this is with Vanguard only because of the fact that it costs less to administer with PSATs. They have the lowest fees.
They have a wide range.
Yeah.
I'm
There's a lot
familiar
of
with
funds.
Vanguard. I just asking questions.
Yeah.
I want anybody that does this to get the maximum benefit out of it. So,
Any other questions about the agreement? Good. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, opposed? All right, great. The agreement is passed. So now we need to adopt, I move that we adopt Resolution 2020, am I correct in this 25, Denise?
Yes.
Adopt Resolution 2020-25 to put the agreement in motion for Halfmoon Township to participate in the defined contribution plan 401A.
can
Is
we
there a
scroll down a little bit so we
Wait,
can,
second?
Second.
Okay, Patty seconded.
okay.
Okay, now, discussion?
I was just trying to read here
Yes.
as you were adopting. The employer will act as an administrator of the plan and will be responsible for performing all actions necessary to carry out administration of the plan. I assume we're turning that over to PSATs.
Yes. The only thing that PSATs will be helping us with, they'll come and meet with the employees as well and discussion about their investments and how they might best, depending on everybody's retirement age or plans.
As the employer may designate any other person or persons to perform the actions necessary to administer the plan. Okay, I'm just seeing if we got it out. Okay, all right.
And so that is us telling PSATs to help administer the plan for us, I'm assuming that's what that means, so. Okay, so,
Don't want to lock our fingers in a vice.
yep. All right, any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, there we go. We now have a defined contribution plan for new employees. Fabulous. Thank you, Denise, for putting that together.
No problem. I'm always happy to help, and it was a joint effort. Everything we do is a joint effort with staff.
Thank you, guys. All right, next up is the approval of our 2021 meeting calendar. Woo! All ready and can't wait. I did look at the dates. The only suggestion that I had was the last meeting in December. So I think we had, I don't have it up now if you want to open it up. I think the last meeting was going to be like the 30th, December 30th. And I
Yes,
was
so the
one,
reason let me screen share this,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. So the reason I chose the 30th for that is typically the second meeting in December is canceled. And so if there is anything that would come before the board that needed to be adopted or approved at the last minute, it would kind of be a place marker for that, but I assume we would be canceling it.
Right.
It's just kind of there for
just in
some
case. My only suggestion was going to be similar to what we do in November, which is have 2 meetings back to back. So instead of having, I think and I don't see, you don't have the calendar up there, but whatever the first meeting in December was, just scheduling our second meeting the next week after that. Because even if we do have to have a December 30th meeting, nobody's going to want a December 30th meeting. But if it's a December 16th meeting, if we needed it, that's a lot more likely. So that was my only suggestion, is to just do back-to-back meetings in December, similar to November.
Yeah, I agree. I just know that
Let me pull up my calendar.
there are some times where, personally, that week between Christmas and New Year's,
Oh, I'm not doing anything.
well, we're out of town.
Yeah, we're gone.
So, yeah. I mean, the odds are I would be here, so I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it now, but, you know, who knows what's gonna happen in 14 months, so.
So our first meeting in December is the 9th. My recommendation is that we make the second meeting the 16th. And again, we can cancel it for sure, but if we do need to have it, it's a much more realistic date than December 30th.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You okay with that? Anybody
No.
else?
Denise,
So-
your thoughts?
I think she's just gonna
Completely
push
up to you guys. The reason, like I said, I did the 30th is, the intent is we will be canceling, but it's advertised if there's something that comes as an emergency last minute that we need to get in for the year. So that leaves the 16th to the 30th, that if something comes in that we need to complete, we would have to do a re-advertisement and hold a meeting.
How about you just handle it and tell us about it in the new year?
I'd say we just leave it the way it is, and then if something comes in, we could always handle it over Zoom if we had to, but most likely it's gonna be canceled.
Yeah,
So
I'm
just
fine
leave,
with
leave
that.
it the 30th? I'm fine with that too.
Nobody wants to have a meeting December 30th.
No, I guess I was just trying to eliminate that altogether, but I'm totally fine with leaving it, because like I said, 99% of the time it's canceled.
Not to mention, like, and, you know, with now we do things through Zoom.
Oh, that's true.
Doesn't mean if I'm in New Jersey, I can't have them do the meeting.
I can
you know,
sit
in a
having my
hotel room.
eggnog or champagne
Exactly.
while we're having our meeting. Sorry. Okay, so then, does anyone else want to make a motion for the meeting calendar?
Please note all of your meeting times change
Yes.
this year or next year to
Talk about
6
that.
p.m.
Oh, I
No.
did.
No,
No, Dave?
no.
Okay.
I can't do 6 p.m. Like, you know, I gotta use every day, hour, and probably Chuck does
Daylight.
too. I need the daylight, and just to get back and take a shower and come down to the meeting, you know, I've got an hour wrapped up in.
Okay.
Or I can come as I am, and we'll all
We
be
don't care
happy
what you
about it.
look like, Dave.
Well,
See, I
the
saw-
looks, it might be the smell.
You
so.
can come dirty.
I saw the 6 o'clock thinking that was a request from you guys but okay.
Well,
Because
I
I
think-
did see that and I was kinda like, ooh, 6,
Let's let
but I can
Denise
make it work.
explain that.
So for staff, we finish our day at 4, and then we of course have to come back to a 7 o'clock meeting, and then they usually go till 9. If they go later for any type of reason, it becomes difficult to calm down from the day and move forward. So we were hoping that, you know, we would have the availability to start at 6 and then be done by 8 and still have a portion of our evenings on meeting nights, especially because a lot of these meetings, there's times where we'll have 3 in a week.
I'd agree to it if you wanna start at 6 a.m.
There you go. I'll take that
I
one.
think somebody said that at open space.
Yeah, I don't, 6 a.m.'s not gonna work, guys.
See, they have planning commission and
Not
open
enough
space.
coffee in the
and
world.
I can understand.
Yeah, I can definitely understand too. I could go either way, so I'll take,
It is difficult. I mean, when I was working, that would be difficult for me. I'll defer to those that are
yeah.
still working.
Yeah, I could make 6 o'clock work, but if fellow members of the board can't, I'd side with them because I want everybody to be able to get here. You know,
Denise,
this is
I
important stuff.
understand. I know exactly where you're coming from, but our meetings don't run till 11 o'clock at night like they used to. I mean, we're all out of here by 9, which means people can go home, and go to sleep, go party or
Well, I
whatever.
think that, yeah, she's just saying then that means staff has been working from.
Yeah.
Well,
here's
I
what-
used to go home and eat dinner and then I came back over. I
Well,
mean,
here's what I would also suggest. On those nights, like tonight where you have meeting nights, well, you kind of have to be there, but start later if you can. Open the office at 11 and work,
Well-
if you can.
We're also kind of thinking about this, if we cancel one meeting in the month, which is the intent, there's gonna be more items on one meeting, so if we start at 6.
It is going to be a
we can go
long,
to 9 if need be, but then it's only one meeting a month.
yeah.
Gotta keep it short then.
That's true though, if we're doing one meeting a month, that'll make it a little.
It is a
easier.
longer meeting, which is sometimes good, but then also can be very taxing mentally and just preparation wise. So I like the one meeting a month, but I don't want it to be a 3.5 hour meeting because I don't think that our brains would be able to handle it. So I think what I'm hearing is the board prefers keeping it at 7.
Well, yeah, or do we wanna try it?
Day,
I don't
Chuck?
Well,
Hey,
What
you
if
set
it's
it
got a
whatever time
compromise
you
to
want. If I
6:30,
make
would that
it,
work
if
for
I don't,
everybody?
I'll come late.
if it's a hardship, then we wanna.
Yeah, we don't want to make it a
Yeah,
If
we don't
I'm
wanna
dipping
put
a
anybody
septic
out,
tank
but-
and I come in here, you're gonna have to put up with it.
Hey, we smell all kinds of stuff out here at Half Moon, so it doesn't bother me that much. We could try and see if it goes okay.
I'm guessing it's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
willing
more of
to
an
do that.
issue in the summer than in the winter because of the time and the
Although,
daylight.
and wouldn't we have to re-advertise it if we tried
You
to
could split
change
it.
it?
You want to do 6:30?
That's an idea.
Can we try 6:30?
6:30 is really tight for me, but I could probably do 6:30.
How does that?
I don't see that it makes a difference, but, you know, it's just really tough for me to get in here any earlier than we do.
Okay.
It's really up to you as a board. We want everybody to participate, and if that means 7, then that means 7.
You want to keep it 7?
I'd rather keep it 7.
Okay.
I appreciate the other board members for sticking up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you wanna try a couple at 6 and advertise a couple of 6 in February or
I was
January
gonna
and
say, can we do the
February.
winter ones, or does it not?
Before daylight savings time becomes standard time or whatever, I could probably do the 6, although that's gonna be tough. But if that's that important, we could try that for a couple months and see how that goes.
It's much more important that all the board members participate, so we'll keep it at 7.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, can we have a motion to approve the? Nope.
We already did.
I don't think we moved. 'cause-
I move we approve 7 PM. At the times and dates specified.
So to approve all the meeting schedule advertisement,
Yes.
Yes,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Did you get that, Amy?
I did, but I guess, are you saying you want none of the meetings at 6?
Correct.
Just-
So approval of
I
the.
mean, planning commission, they're all on one schedule.
Oh, no, but are we just planning, we're just approving.
I thought it was
ours,
us.
aren't we?
We're just approving ours, aren't we?
It says
we have to
boards and
advertise all of the
commissions.
meetings.
Yeah, but
And we do one concise advertisement, so it saves us money.
Oh, well,
So
did-
It says
the
boards
open space
and
preservation moved their meeting time to 6. The planning commission's okay with moving their time to 6.
gotcha.
We'll keep it for the board
it says-
at a start time of 7.
Okay.
Well,
So seven-
is everybody, the majority, all the boards okay with the time change?
The other boards?
Yeah.
Yes,
So they're
the-
responsible for their own times.
Yeah,
So
that
they.
was
I
how
don't,
it should
I don't
be.
wanna pick a time for them because they know what they need to
Yeah.
do
Right.
their
They already
thing.
did.
They
talked
already
about
did
it.
theirs, Amy said, right?
We asked them if it was okay to move to 6, and it works. So the other boards are okay with the 6 PM. you want to keep yours at 7, we'll
Yes.
just change the advertisement so that it says that the Board of Supervisors is at 7.
Yes.
And that all the other boards' meetings will start at 6.
Correct.
Okay.
So
And then also,
That's
the motion.
just a note that the
Bob's
open space moved to the second Wednesday of the month rather than the first Wednesday.
okay.
They discussed that. And that's already been updated in these dates, so the dates stay the same, the time for the supervisors is just changing to 7.
Okay. And so
Well, then I make a
date-
motion that we do those changes if everybody's cool with it, so, and keep the supervisors at 7 and
7
everybody
o'clock.
else at 6.
Okay, and Bob had already
second
seconded that. Okay, and we had some other discussion. Is there any more discussion? And does that make sense, Amy? You got what you need? Okay, good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next up is the draft 2021 budget permission to advertise for public input and to set the hearing date.
Yes. So we created the draft budget in the DCED format. So it's available to receive public comment. We'll need to do that for a period. We'll need to advertise and have it available for public input for 20 days before we'll hold a hearing and ask for adoption of the budget. The plan is to advertise the draft budget and set the hearing date for December 10th for possible adoption.
I move we do that.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patty. I just had one comment. We had a lot of discussion about the communication piece of the budget and making sure that residents were aware of tax increase. So, yeah, so Denise, I would like to recommend that you and I get together to plan out our communication strategy for that, starting before this December 10th meeting.
Yes, I think that's a good plan to know.
Okay, so if, I'm gonna put it on my task list, but if you could also, that will remind me as well, and we can get together before that.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring back to the board, we'll send via email what some of that planning is.
I'll get with you and send you a message about
Awesome.
our.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, you can advertise.
Hooray.
All right, next up, fun stuff, permission to sell some topsoil. So, when we added on or updated the Autumn Meadow Park, there's a lot of topsoil that is left over from that moving of earth, and we can sell it. So Denise, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I asked staff to find ways to save money or make money. And we've been really good about saving money. Our roadmaster suggested a way to make money. So the Autumn Meadow Park, when they were taking out some of the topsoil, the contractors were taking it out of the township and they have to pay to do that. Scott stopped them and said, hey, put it on our public works area here because we can resell it. So it's been sitting there for about a year. I asked him to kind of estimate how many triaxial loads he has or would be willing to part with so that we're left with some in case we need any topsoil for the parks or for any other type of berming or any issue. So we have somewhere between 8 to 10 triaxial loads. Section 1504 of the second class township code states that the board has to approve any sale of any township property. And the advertising and bidding threshold for that is $2,000. I reached out to not only our attorney, but also PSAT's general counsel, Scott Coburn, to see how we would go about advertising this if necessary. And both solicitors suggested that we put on our media outlets that the township has extra topsoil available to residents at a price of $600 per triaxial load, limit to 3 triaxial loads per resident on a first come, first served basis. That makes the transaction $1,800 below the threshold, and it will be to different people. So we're asking for permission to sell this topsoil.
Would your minimum amount be a triaxial load?
Yes.
Okay,
That's a lot of dirt.
that sure is.
We've already had some inquiries about this. So I know that at least 2 loads will go.
Nice.
I'd like to defer to my colleague to my right.
That's what I was thinking.
What?
What do you think about the topsoil sales, the price? Are we
Well, I think
delivering
it's
it?
good to sell it. I think it's a little high.
It's a little much.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was screened and delivered. But I'm not, I don't know what the price would be,
They
but
have to come and load it.
I'm sure somebody came up with that, but. I mean, if we're not gonna use it, why not sell it? Because we
Well,
could use the money, but.
I'm okay with that. I'm just concerned about, is that a fair price? And are we trying to sell too much at once? There's a difference between a single axle and a triaxial load, and a lot more people are gonna want a single axle load than they are a triaxial load. Would our staff deliver it or drop it somewhere? Do we wanna do that?
Well, I think you're gonna get into a lot of
Fussing around?
mess doing that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody calling for
Well, I'm
deliveries.
just asking because you don't know where we're gonna end up with this thing, so.
Right.
If they have to come and get it, are we loading it or are they loading it?
We load it at that price, and that's just because I don't know how we're gonna have liability-wise somebody else loading it.
True, but then on the other side, then you have the liability of loading somebody's personal vehicle with a township machine. So that might be a different ballgame there.
Which may have been paid for with liquid fuels, which would make it a problem. I don't know what we used to buy the machine when we bought it, if it was general funds or if it was liquid fuels money, or a combination thereof.
For the machine?
Yeah.
I don't think we use liquid fuels for equipment, do we, Denise?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
No, that's just for
Well, I don't know how
roads.
old the machine is, so.
Well, let's just ask this. There's a little bit of question around how did we come to $600 per triaxle, and was there any other alternatives of having residents come and get smaller loads, or how did it come to this? Is there some reasoning for it?
Yes, so when we received a couple of questions about what we were doing with it, some residents called in and said, I want some of this soil that's been hanging out at your place for a while. When I talked to the roadmaster about it, I guess this is not the first time that people have approached the township regarding this. So the roadmaster called around to get information on what a load was, because I wasn't aware of how this worked at all. And I said, I need something to present to the board. So he called around and started asking other like construction companies what topsoil cost and how they were shipping it. And it came out to a triaxial load was the regular amount that was being offered. And the 600 was for us to load it. Now, his estimate was if they loaded, it would be less money. But again, I didn't like the liability with if somebody came and was using equipment on our property to load this, if there was any type of issue, what that would look like. So it would be 600 for us to load it, and then they could drive off with it.
There's no harm in trying it. If nobody comes to get it, then we lower the price.
Or change the amount.
Yeah,
If
essentially
you-
that's what we.
Yeah, with larger amounts, then you're dealing with less people if they can,
Right.
if they take it.
Okay. So, does anyone want to make a motion for the board to give permission to sell the topsoil?
I'm going to abstain just for the fact that I might be interested in some of this
Oh,
topsoil. so.
Okay. I'll make the motion that the board approves or gives permission to sell the topsoil for $600 per triaxle load.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Bob abstains. All right, that passes. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, next up is we received a resignation from Joe Tilka, who has been on the Open Space Preservation Board. He was also on the Open Space 5-Year Review Board. I've worked with him, and it's sad to see him go, but I understand. So, do we need to replace him on that board?
Yes.
Yes, right?
How many members
Yes.
are there in the open space board? 7?
There's 7.
Okay.
And we can put that advertisement, that's actually why I added that information on the opening announcements.
Yeah.
So we can put that on our website and through our social media channels and advertise that there is an opening for that. I also have a follow-up letter thanking Joe for his service. His forecast model has been imperative in the open space program, and it really helped solidify a lot of the information to secure new leases.
Excellent. Yeah, he did a lot of work on that.
I move that the board accept Joe Tilka's resignation and ask that the manager send a letter to Mr. Tilka thanking him for his service.
Excellent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Excellent. Hopefully he can enjoy his retirement, because I think he's been retired for a little while now. All right. Next up is the Romig liability release. So this is a release that Romig is signing to release them of, and I can't remember.
So there's a need to replace a septic tank for the romigs. And we did this earlier this year with the Soda Green. Thank you. But they will not have a site that is outside of that 100-foot well isolation. So this is releasing the property owners from that. Thank you.
Open up that document super quick.
Oh yeah, I have it open. I'm sorry. I forget that I have to keep changing the screen share.
Thank you.
This was signed and approved by the SEO as well. We added this also at the last minute because it's getting to be cold and we don't want the ground to freeze. So this came in and we want to be able to have the SEO issue the permits.
The 100-foot isolation zone, are they not on public water out there? What's the street address? Okay, I couldn't tell what that was.
Yeah, it's a little.
Their isolation distance limitation's not gonna interfere with anybody else's well, I take it? Just theirs?
Not that I'm aware of, just theirs.
Okay. They're gonna put a blue light on the system?
Dave, I don't know what a blue light is.
What
That
is
would be
a
a
blue
question
UV
for
light.
the,
UV light?
I don't think Denise knows that.
I just know
Alright.
the Kmart special kind.
Yeah, well, I move that we approve the agreement or whatever on the condition that they put a UV light on their water supply.
Just for during that time? Or
No, it would stay on this thing for in perpetuity. It's, the idea is to kill the bacteria just in case anything sneaks through.
Hey, can you say
got
that again? On
shale up
condition they
there
put a UV light.
on their
the
water supply, which I would recommend anybody that has a well have one anyways. But I think in this particular case, if you get bacteria through the fractures in the shale and it gets down into your drinking water supply, it may not bother you because it's your own supply, but it's certainly going to bother friends and relatives that show up.
And we haven't seen what their plan is for the well, so I don't know if it might have something like
Yeah.
that or
Well,
not. But
36 feet
contingent-
is way close.
Okay. So there is a motion to approve the Romig liability release with the contingency that they have a UV light on the water source. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Patty. Any discussion? I'm just gonna say I'm deferring that to Dave because I don't know anything about that, or if the well
Yeah.
would have it, so I will agree with my fellow supervisor.
Yeah, I'll trust your expertise
Yep.
on that one.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okey dokey. Thank you. All right, we are down to department reports. There's a treasurer's report, a tax collector's report. There is a building code zoning report, public works, manager's report, budget report. Hopefully you all had a chance to at least take a peek at those. I did before the meeting. Is there anything of note that you wanted to point out, Denise?
Yes, I'm pulling up the manager's report. We received our check for the CARES Act today. Yes, I'm looking right now. course, it's a text message. No, it's here. So we received the check for $15,876.73, which means everything that was submitted was approved. And we also executed the agreement with the COG in the amount of $840.30 that was approved by the supervisors, and that sub-recipient agreement, they'll be receiving a check directly for that amount. So the total amount that we got approved for was $16,717.03. Yes.
Nice.
Also, we'll be receiving the check for the $55,000 in the county liquid fuels grant for the 2020 road projects. That paperwork has been completed and submitted. The Board of Commissioners approved it on Tuesday, so we'll see a check shortly.
Lovely.
We also applied for the county liquid fuels grant for the 2021's road projects. I'm not sure when we'll hear back about that, whether or not that was approved, but our road project relies on that being approved. We started going around the township and identifying snow routes and procedures. We looked at possible hazardous items, and we've been working with some homeowners to have those things removed so that our plow drivers are safe and we don't receive any damage to our trucks.
Excellent.
Also, we've been working on the parkland ordinance to simplify the fee in lieu of land dedication. That's going to be going to the Planning Commission on Tuesday. The change to that is very simply that it would be $1,000 per per lot, or for residential, or $1,000 per disturbed acre on any non-residential subdivision or land development application. Disturbed acres, yes, for non-residential.
It's $1,000.
Per disturbed acre.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
We'll be bringing that to the Planning Commission for their review, and then we'll be bringing that to the board after the Planning Commission reviews it. If the board is okay with it, we will then forward on to the county for their comments, as well as the CRPA. And lastly, I want to just say that 4 women met to start the Halfmoon Community Connections Committee. We were thinking about the resolution that was passed in order to provide some diversity and inclusion for the township. And we were looking at it as an opportunity to have different ways to meet your neighbors and have those discussions, such as Leah was talking about earlier, where we foster community relationships. A lot of times not knowing or having fear of something is what drives some of these issues. We're looking to have one free event to start in 2021. That would be something such as a speaker of some kind coming in and offering some sort of advice or some sort of avenue to learn more about how we can be more inclusive for everybody. We'll be meeting again on the 18th of November, and Lori Strauss hopefully will be joining us.
Yeah, both of us have made plans to attend.
Lovely. Okay.
Denise, you said that's the 18th, right?
Yes, I sent you a calendar invitation today.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Lovely. Anything else from any of the reports?
The only other thing is you have links now. When in previous emails, we would send out the agenda along with the profit and loss and balance statement. Those are now linked directly into the agenda, so you can review them.
Excellent. All right. Other than that, we're going to move along to the supervisor reports. I'm just going to go down the list here. I do not have any report for executive committee. We have a meeting next week. Finance.
Same thing next week.
Okay. Human resources.
I unfortunately could not attend our human resources. I did attend the public safety slash, what was it? I think you were.
Public services and environmental. Yeah.
I don't really have much to report from that, other than that I kind of felt like it turned into a thanking and award ceremony almost.
Yeah.
But I'll you can go continue down the list.
Okay, it looks like TLU was canceled. I did attend a Public Services and Environmental Committee meeting. We had a meeting and then also the joint meeting. At the Public Services Environmental, mainly talking about the different committees. If you guys remember a while ago, we were to look at some of the different committee structures in COG, and things change every once in a while. Different topics come up, different committees are created. So there's a Public Services Environmental Committee, there's a Public Safety Committee, there's a Transportation and Land Use Committee. These committees may have a little bit of overlapping duties, responsibilities, topics that come through them. So that was a little bit of the discussion. There's going to be a joint meeting of those groups sometime in Q1 of next year, to just kind of lay out there, is there any way we can streamline this a little bit? A lot of these committees get burdensome for the elected officials because they have elected officials on them. So we're looking to streamline, yet still tend to the topics that need to be tended to. So that was part of the discussion. Also, because of that, and more committees, there's a Climate Action and Sustainability Committee that is looking to be formed, and they're gonna start seeing who would be on that committee in January of next year. And that's really focusing on sustainability, climate action, because the COG has a climate action plan that they are trying to put in place to reduce greenhouse gases, all those types of things to be safer for the environment.
Just like to say that
Yes.
I volunteered to be on that committee that represent Halfmoon Township.
Oh, okay.
That's right up my alley.
Awesome.
Where I want to be, so.
Okay. So that was mainly the items of topic for that committee meeting. And we do not participate in the Center Region refuse and recycling, but one of the items that they were talking about was the annual increase in the refuse and recycling rate.
Through the county.
For the county, yes, not for us.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't participate.
Yep.
No, I mean, we do the county recycling.
Oh, yes. But for whoever.
For the Center Region
Center Region
recycling,
recycling
okay.
and refuse, garbage pickup. So that's on my report. Anything for the Ad hoc Facilities Committee?
Not too much. The Millbrook Marsh Nature Center is under an RFP to figure out what renovations can happen there and what all is gonna be involved. The code renovation, for the building is, I'm guessing I think they're moving in by the end
Oh,
of this
nice.
month, by the end of November. They're pretty close to being done. There's a few things they're looking at, for the building. We're also gonna be recognized as a standing committee. And I think that goes back to the general form now for adoption. And I think that's pretty much it. And there are, I think it's open till sometime in December is the facilities coordinator
Position.
position that
Okay.
they're looking to fill.
All right. Anything Spring Creek Watershed? Dave, do you go to any of those meetings? No. Okay. Center Area Cable Consortium. Is there anything?
No, we haven't had
That's-
meetings.
no. Okay. CNET?
Our quarterly meeting was last month,
Okay.
and the Upper Bald Eagle COG did not meet this month because our regular meeting date was election day. and
Aha.
We were all kind of busy.
Yep. Okay. And then open space, anything of note for the board?
No, we're working through we sent out a survey to see how many people that are currently in the lease program would be interested in, at some point, if the funds were available for a permanent
Oh,
lease
nice.
purchase. So those are coming in.
Excellent.
We gave them a deadline, I believe it was the 13th of November.
Oh, tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah, so we'll be
Okay.
talking about that at our next meeting, and that was and then we're kind of re-looking at the group, going back through what are our goals, objectives, what do we see short-term, long-term, we're kind of
Fabulous.
we're starting through that.
Okay. Any other reports?
I
think
have
so.
just
Yeah.
a brief,
Yeah.
the committee to find the candidates for the library executive director.
Oh, yes.
We had our first meeting, not a lot to report on that, other than the fact that we're moving forward,
Excellent.
so.
Okay. All right, so I think that's all for supervisor reports. Any notes of good and welfare? And Denise, the executive session, is that gonna be after this meeting?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yes.
Brief executive session after this meeting is adjourned. And speaking of adjournment, is there anything? Oh, yes.
If you're gonna announce an executive session, we have to state don't have to get into specifics, but the purpose has to be stated.
To discuss a personnel matter.
Okay,
Yep. Thank you.
make sure we had our bases covered.
Thank you, thank you. Anything else? Our next regular meeting will be held on Thursday, November 19th at 7 p.m. Hearing no other business.
Actually, I would just like to add one thing for, I guess, at this point, the viewers. We've had a number of folks in the neighborhood burning leaves over the last several weeks. I don't believe we have any ordinance or anything on the books against burning leaves. I just want to ask that proper precautions be taken. It was a very dry summer, even though we did get rain over the last several days. It's still dry up in the woods. It's not going to go over well with your neighbors if we have burned down half Stormstown. Also, try to keep in mind of the amount you're burning at once and wind currents, because when you're burning leaves, the smoke goes somewhere, and you've been smoking out a lot of your neighbors. So I would just like to ask people to have a little bit more courtesy and care. So.
Lovely, thank you. All right, anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.